All right. Welcome back to another episode of Diamond Podcast. I'm your host, Alfredo Diamond, local realtor, local entrepreneur, community advocate. Welcome. Today's exciting day. With me being in the real estate industry, it's only fitting that I have today's guest on and we talk about some trends in the housing industry, the local market, and what's going on with subsidized housing and how all that works. So I want to welcome a very special guest, Mr. Keon Jackson of the Housing Authority of Richmond. Welcome, Keon. Thanks for being here, taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it.
Hey, pleasure to be here. Thanks for welcoming me here.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to jump right into it, and then we'll take a little dive into where you're from and everything. I'd like to get to know you like that, and everybody to see that side of you. But before, what exactly is the Housing Authority of Richmond?
That's a good question. So a lot of people don't know what we really do, and people say they think that we do one thing, but then we do something else. So what we are is we provide affordable housing for affordable families, okay? Low-income housing, low-income families, all right?
Mm-hmm.
But not just low-income families and housing, but you got to talk about the whole process. You're talking about affordable. We're talking about decent, safe, and sanitary housing because, again, that's the key part to this. It's the decent, safe, and sanitary because anybody can provide somebody with a home.
Yeah.
But if it's decent, safe, and sanitary. So what we do on our end is what we try to do is provide that, that safety net, not only for the income portion of it, but also the safety side of things. There's always people who got rumors. There's always people going to have their own say about things. And,
Yeah.
your experience is what you make your experience. And if you're a good resident, good tenant, if you're paying your bills, if you're doing the right things, you're going to have a pleasant experience. But if you're not, if you're breaking the lease, if you're doing the wrong things, you're not going to have a pleasant experience. And that's what I'd like to tell everybody. Now, there's some things that we can work on and get things done better, but there's also some things that we have to have help doing, because after hours things, stuff like that. And if they're not reporting something, that's how we're going to get something fixed, or how we're going to do something to improve the process. And that's what we're trying to do. So the last 3 years, I've been working on improving the processes that we have, and hopefully people are seeing those things from some of the work that we're doing.
What are a couple of wins from the process? A couple of wins from the process that you've changed. Anything you've seen improvement from a couple of those?
Financially, I know we were in a big hole with HUD in our finances with the Housing Authority, so that's one big win. So we've turned that around.
Congratulations!
Thank you. I mean, it's been a long road, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's been hard and sometimes, and so. That being said, we've done that. We started a family self-sufficiency program. We have a grant from HUD with that. That's been able to help 25 to 30 families currently, but we're trying to look to increase that. And what that is providing self-sufficiency for those individuals and those families while helping them, achieve their goals and successes, not only in housing but in life. And then providing, income to be self-sufficient. And hopefully we will try to get a home ownership program going at some point to help.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so those are the things that we're trying to work on. Another win for us is, and you want to call it wins or not, we've turned over, since I've been here, we've turned over, 150 units in 3 years. And I'm talking about turning over where rehab those units and making them ready to be rented again. We're not talking about the old school model. We're talking about the new school model, the new flooring, the new light fixtures, the energy efficiency.
LVT and all that.
All that good stuff. And so LVT is that's the new wave versus the ceramic tile flooring, and the old school white walls, So we're trying to do a lot of different things that with that being said, I think those are wins for us. We just got 2 national awards for housing
here in Richmond.
Fort Richmond, but from NARO, the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials. It's a large organization for housing.
Wow.
So we just received those awards, and it's posted on our website. And then we sent out a press release to the local media and everything. So I thought I sent it to you, but if not, I'll definitely get that to you.
Yeah, I'd like to have that. You're doing your thing. One thing you said that sticks out to me, the light bulb went off. You said there's going to be opportunities for current tenants, maybe a program to become homeowners.
Yes.
What does that look like? How far along is that in the process?
So currently, we don't have it established. I would like to get that established, but it's a process that goes through that. we would have to be, you got to get some housing counseling going on. Right now, we're just set up towards. Right now, we're just trying to get them self-sufficient, where they can gainful employment, and we help them. And we match whatever they're making and put it into a savings account for them.
Wow.
So over years, they can end up getting that and just going home and purchasing a home. That's one way to purchase a home. Another way is, again, get the home ownership program actually started. So that like I said, that takes a process. But for us on our end, we would like to see that happen. But it's also requires staffing, funding, all the works, man.
Yeah.
And so
Kind of crazy idea, but just sitting here, discussing this with you, and I know it's not very far along, but I'm also on the board for Habitat for Humanity. And I don't know, would it be possible you think about community partners? Would that be a community partner once this gets rolling, where you guys kind of bridge that gap between families and the organizations? That's something that makes sense.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned Habitat for Humanity, actually, because we've been working with them and the city in trying to get some lots. So we have a bunch of vacant lots that we also own. We've been trying to get some redevelopment going on, and so we partner with Habitat for Humanity and with the city to try to get some development going on around here.
Yeah.
Whether it be single family homes, whether it be big projects that we're trying to do it all.
Yeah.
As much as we can. We just got some, unfortunate news recently that, set us back a little bit with some of those processes. However, we've been in talks with the city. We've been in talks with Habitat for Humanity. We've been in talks with other development corporations around. So we've been trying to get some stuff going.
Just some ideas, what about with the blight program and things like that? What's the possibility of maybe acquiring these homes and rehabbing those? Would it be safe, a way to save money on the front end to rehab something like that?
So on our end, and so because we are federally funded, to rehab those homes, we have to have funding.
Yeah.
Whether it be our capital funding that we use to repair our current stock of housing, or whether it be donations or some other grant funding that we can get. So we're not like the big time corporation where we can have private funding to come in. We have to we get that federal funding, and there's only so much we can do with that federal funding. But the blight program, we did get some of those properties. That's where some of the vacant lots came from, the blight program.
Okay.
But then we were supposed to be putting homes on those on those different lots, or so to say, grouping them together and trying to put a big project together with that. So that's part of that blight program that you were talking about. Yeah.
And I just want to know, and then I want to jump into a little bit more about you personally and where you're from and all that. But so with the funding, primarily it's government. So some of it's subsidized housing. So some of your tenants, some of the tenants, they pay out of pocket, right?
Yes, correct.
So does those funds go back into which pool of funds do those go back into, like redevelopment or just daily operations? What does that look like?
So
just curious.
So on that side, so the operations, that goes into operations. So that goes back into paying for rehabs, paying for whatever things that they need, repairs, things like that.
Yeah.
So our residents pay 30% of whatever, 30% of their income. And so now if you have zero income, you still pay a minimum rent, which is, whatever our minimum rent is. I think it's $50 or whatever. Okay. So let's say you make $100. Just giving a broad example, you make $100, you pay 30% of that, so you'd be paying $30 for your rent, just based on a straight number.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you pay $30, and then some people, that's if you don't have any income or not, then you would only pay, you would pay $50 as a minimum rent. So it varies, man.
Yeah.
You say subsidized housing. There's different forms of subsidized housing because we have a housing choice voucher program, commonly known as Section 8.
Yeah.
And then we have our low income public housing, which are ones that we own and operate. Okay. So those are our 4 developments that we have.
I deal with you guys on the other side with my rental properties.
Okay.
And talk about that. There's a stigma too. Like I mean, some people are like, well, I don't want to deal with Section 8. Like, it really, to me, you still got to do as a property owner. Right. You still got to do your due diligence, do your background checks, credit checks, inspections. But really, I would look at it like it really protects my business and the tenant. And my money's guaranteed. Right. Right? Pretty much, right?
And that's what I always tell people. When people say, listen, I'm glad you said that, because people always, they always say that. It's definitely a stigma. And my thing is, like you said, it's guaranteed income. And there's rules and regulations. If they're damaging something, all you have to do is let the housing authority know, or vice versa. If you're not doing something right, the resident let us know.
Oh yeah,
and
there's
you
an
have to-
annual inspection.
because you signed a contract.
Yeah,
The resident signs a contract,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's a
very
three part. It's
professional.
the housing authority, it's the resident, and it's the landlord.
Yeah.
And so my thing about that is, like you said, due diligence.
Yeah.
You know, you're not gonna just let somebody come into your home without actually, hey, I'm gonna do my due diligence. I'm gonna get the background check, or
Yeah.
I'm gonna check your credit report. I'm gonna make sure your references are checked out, because people just letting people come in and so they blaming us. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, you can't blame us for that, because first of all, you're a private landlord when you're a housing choice voucher landlord. So it's just, it varies, man. And I'm hearing all these horror stories.
Yeah.
And people say that they don't want to do this because this resident did that. Well, okay, it didn't just get like that overnight.
Right.
You know, you haven't went out
Right.
there and checked your property. You haven't
Right.
talked with them. You haven't done anything. So you can't just put that on
Right.
on the housing authority because
Yeah.
it's our residents. That's not true.
You guys your organization's a viable partner in my business. But so the other side of that, you know, in my field, there's a inventory with housing is a issue, and talk to me about what is your capacity like with the properties that you have on the Section 8 side, and then I always hear like there's like a list. Is there ways around the list? Is there a way to skip the line? I mean, is there really that long a list of people waiting to get in homes? What does that look
Yes.
like?
That waiting list is always full. I would say that.
Really?
And when I say full, I just mean it's full to the point where we can't even give out anymore, because I don't want to have somebody just sitting out here for 5-10 years waiting on a list.
Wow,
You
yeah.
know, and then things happen, and so at a certain point, I have to say, cut the list off right now. We open it back up when we need to get it back going up. We usually open once a year.
Okay.
We didn't open it up this year because we had some HUD stuff that we had to take care of before we can open that list up, and so we didn't open it up this year. But we're going to open it up again next year. Well, next year coming up soon. So
Yeah.
it'll get open, but it only goes open for 7 days, because with that 7 days, you're going to get 300 to 500 people on that list, and 300 to 500 people
Wow.
on a list that doesn't
300 to 500 people waiting to get in a home.
300 to 500 people.
Wow.
Now I say that because some people, they already have homes
And they're looking to relocate.
They want to
or
relocate.
Family changed. Yeah,
Something like
yeah.
that. And then sometimes people, and this is, people say they need a home, and we offer them a home, and they say
Yeah.
they don't want this home. They don't want to be here. They don't want to be there.
Right.
But then there's other people out here that needs that home.
Right.
And so my thing is, we're trying to house as many people as we can house,
Mm-hmm.
but we only have so much inventory, and we only have so much space to house people.
Right. And you talk about the need for housing, and what inspires you to or motivates you to want to be in the role that you're in? I mean, there's got to be something that's you're passionate about. What does that look like with you?
Well, for me personally, I grew up in public housing, so I know what it is on the other side of public housing. We didn't have much, and I come from a community where it's considered the projects, the hood, and I just tried to change the narrative. And
Yeah.
when I say change the narrative, I mean, like you said, the stigmatism that comes with the projects, housing,
Right.
and it's just that's not really what it is. There's great people that come out of housing. There's
Right.
great people that's in housing. You're in housing for a reason. Most people are in housing for a reason because
Really?
they need assistance. And I like to call it a hand up, not a handout.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just give people some stability.
It doesn't have to be forever. It could be temporary.
Exactly.
I mean, the home for me, having a home, that is like your foundation to operate from. I look at my household as a business, and having that foundation is very necessity for me to operate from, making decisions, whether to go to school, whether to start a business, where the kids go to school, and like you have to have, for you to grow, I really feel like you have to have that strong foundation underneath you, and that begins having that safe, sanitized, clean environment to grow from. So I really get that. So talk about where you're from. So what brought you to? Let's go way back from the beginning. What was it like, and then what brought you to Richmond?
Well, what it was like. Well, first of all, I'm born and raised in East Chicago, Indiana.
Okay.
I have to say Indiana because people think you say Chicago,
Yeah,
it's
still
Chicago.
in Indiana. Yeah.
Northwest Indiana. So I like to tell people, I'm next to Gary. So you say Gary's okay. But it's East Chicago, Indiana.
Okay.
Gotta rep my city,
Right,
man.
right.
Always. So from East Chicago, Indiana, it wasn't. We don't have much there. We got a steel mill. We don't
Is it
have
still
much.
is it still operational?
I don't even know. To be
Yeah,
honest with you,
I don't know.
I don't even know. But
Maybe.
it's
Yeah.
been, it was operational when I was coming up, and for the longest period of time. So with that being said, it's a lot of hardworking people there.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of trouble there. A lot of my friends growing up, they went down one path, I went down another path. Now, don't get me wrong, I got some good friends that still to this day from growing up, but my
Turn
best
things
friend, my
around.
brother, is still my best friend growing up. But at the same time, there's a lot of them that, some of them have passed away, unfortunately.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
various reasons, and I use sports as an avenue to get out, right? And so I did that.
What'd you play?
I played football, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna play all sports in high school, but I went to college to play football, and so
Okay.
football opened up a lot of doors for me, personally and professionally. If you think about it, so that's why I started it, man. East Chicago, Indiana. I've been everywhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did I get back here? Came full circle. I've been to Ohio. I went to Indiana and Boston, then Texas, and
Boston?
Yeah, Boston, man.
Wow.
So I've been everywhere, man. And so I went back to Toledo a couple years ago, took a job opportunity there, and best thing ever happened. My son got born there. So
Yeah.
so with that being said, that's probably the best time of my life in Toledo, only because I became a man in Toledo from college, college years. Then my son being born there later, and then it grew me to be in this position I am today. That's why I came back here, to accept this opportunity and this challenge to rebuild Richmond and the community with the housing.
Keon, coming back to Richmond, you talk about some of the challenges you faced with the budgets and overcoming that and turning things around. I applaud you for that. And then rehabbing 150 units. That's an amazing feat to do in 3 years. But I know there's also being a former manager. Well, I'm still a manager, I guess. But I know there's different personalities, different ages. When it comes to change and impacting and affecting change, what was that like for you to come in and get everyone's buy-in, the staff members' buy-in, especially more tenured folks? Because you're a young cat. So what was that like, and how did you get the buy-in from your staff to make this all work?
I used to be young. I'm young as
Oh, you young, man. You younger than me.
Well, it's never easy, to be honest with you. And this isn't the first time I've had to deal with it. I've dealt with larger staffs, more staff, and more senior people, tenured. But for me, it's just about coming in and laying it all out. This is what we want to do. This is how it needs to be. And I would just say, not even just this is what I wanted. This is how it is. This is reality. Obviously things haven't gone the right way. Before I got here. So I said, these are things that need to be changed. First and foremost. And some people were on board right away, and then some people were not on board right away. And that's just the nature of the business. But I'm here to do a job, and I've always told my staff this. I'm here to do a job. I wouldn't be here if things was all peaches and creams right here.
Yeah.
And so I'm here to do a job. Either you're gonna be on board or you're not gonna be on board. And I'm okay if you're not on board, because again, I need people who's gonna be willing to make these
Own their
changes
position.
and do
Yeah.
the things. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been navigating that for the past 3 years, and there's been some ups and some downs. There's been some there's been some turnover, obviously, but there's also been some stability. And so I'm trying to just keep that stability going on with our staff, and, not just the stability that's currently there, but keep on looking to increase the staff, not only production, but, knowledge and, just awareness of what we need to be and what we need to do.
Day to day, what's the operations look like in your role?
It's always changing. It's never one thing, just one thing. It's always something. You have this plan, like everybody. You have this plan, and you come in for a day, and it changes the minute you get in there, because something always happens, whether it be an emergency, whether it be something that you didn't plan for. It could just be a resident downstairs, or some issues going on. It could be staff issues. It could be. It's just a lot, man. And when you think about it, it's not just a 9 to 5 where you can say, oh, I'm gonna do this day. No, it's never like that. I'm gonna tell you that it's never one day is the same as the next day. I can say that.
Yeah.
In my whole 15 years, it ain't never been one day is the same as the next day. It's always something different every day.
Yeah. Can you share a memorable experience where you or a staff member helped a family that needed a home, and then to see their growth. I mean, the whole picture. Can you share a moment like that possibly?
I mean, there's
I know there's tons of
there's
it,
a
bro.
bunch of moments like that.
Yeah.
You know, my thing is I just like the people who are grateful and who are not only grateful but the ones that take care of their homes and show you that they are doing with the things that they need to do. Um, Case in point, just here recently, we helped the family. I'm gonna say sometimes you say family because one person is considered family in our industry. If you're in places that's a family, and so we helped. And I don't want to put names. I'm not going to
Yeah,
put anybody's names
no.
out there, but we helped the individual, and they were so grateful because they had a place for them and their kids. They hadn't had a place for a long time. They needed stable housing because again, Child Protective Services was saying if they don't have a home, they can.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been model tenants. They've been model
Wow.
residents since then, and not
Kids
only
are doing
paying
well.
kids are doing. As far as I know,
Wow.
I don't go to school with them, but as far as I
Yeah,
know, they're
yeah.
doing well. I haven't had any
Yeah.
issues. Usually because the other residents will tell you, if they
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
good things or bad things to the place. So those are the success stories I like to see and hear. The people that's grateful,
Mm-hmm.
the people that wants to do better,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that not only does that, but tells promotes the positive impact
Yeah.
that we're having on their lives and the lives of others, and not just the negative stuff that you hear in the media or from disgruntled residents or former residents or employees, whatever you want to go with. So.
Keon, you've been to Richmond for a few years now, so you've been around. When you think about affordable housing and going forward, what challenges do you think that you're going to face, and how you think you plan to overcome them?
There's always a challenge when it comes to affordable housing, especially like you mentioned before. We trying to, we want to build some different things going on. There's always a challenge with that, whether it be a zoning challenge, whether it be a NIMBYism, whether it be funding. There's always challenges when it comes to affordable housing, but we are always looking to partner with developers, organizations, landlords, realtors, whoever it can be to try to provide something. My thing is if we can't do it, we can't build it, but we can be a partner in it. We can be a someone who can say, hey, we have this land. Do you want to do something here where it's going to help lift the community? Because when you do something like that, you're providing jobs as well. You're not just providing a home, you're providing jobs for people to do some of that stuff. So.
When you think about some of those things in a perfect world, if you could just say, I really want to work with these guys or that group, because I feel like sometimes we have these. It's like everybody's operating independently.
Mm-hmm.
If we talked about Habitat, the city of Richmond, et cetera, are there any other? If you can just, we can get stuff done if we partnered with them. I mean, are there any other? Does that make sense? Are there any other organizations you're like, man, that's who we need to? If there's possible for us to ever team up, that's what we need to. That's what we need to team up with.
Alfredo Diamond, man, what you?
Oh, there you go. I'm a class here, baby. Yeah, there you go.
No, honestly, anybody who's willing to, provide us with some kind of, plan or some kind of funding is always a good thing because we don't get, like I said, we don't have any private funding. We don't have any, so if we had some funding, just somebody say, oh, I want to do this. All you have to do is, provide the residents or say, hey, how many residents you think would be over here that, I don't know, something.
Now, raising money, are there rules like with the government? Like, are you allowed to do like your own events and things like that? Or is that not something you guys don't do?
Oh no, we can we can do that. Usually, again, so we've been talking about trying to have something, but usually when you have like a gala or a fundraising opportunity, it has to be tied to something.
Yeah,
and you have to have some kind of. You can't just say, oh, we want to raise this money and that's it. We got to have
Gotta be some value there.
It has to be something where what am I giving my money to? What am I giving my time to?
Right.
What is it going to? And so we're working on that, but right now we don't have anything it's tied to. So somebody's not going to just say, hey, I'll give you this $500,000.
Right.
To rehab a lot of these units so we can get more people off. That's usually what we're going to do with it. That's what we want to do with it, but I don't see anybody lining up to do that for us. I mean, that'd be great if they could. I mean, I would love that.
Yeah.
Anybody out there want to come out and donate some money to the housing authority so we can rehab a lot of these units and get some people off the streets? Absolutely do it.
Where's your office located at?
It's located at 58 South 15th Street in Richmond, Indiana.
So when you think about a couple of things real quick. So when you think about your humble beginnings and where you are now, being such a young dude, young man doing what you do. If you could inspire or share some words of wisdom, to some young cats out there that maybe aspiring to be like you, I mean, what would you tell them?
Well, just don't let don't let where you live at or the circumstances define who you are. Just keep on working hard. You don't have to. You don't even have to. And I'm saying this on camera, but you don't have to go to college. I mean, you don't have to go to college to do what you do. Just if you're passionate about what you do, if you're passionate about something, you can achieve it. You just have to be passionate about it. You got to work hard at it. Nothing's gonna come easy for you.
No.
There ain't a lot of people hitting the lottery these days. So if you don't hit the lottery, you got to work for something, and that's how I see it, and that's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
I knew that if I wasn't getting a scholarship, I wasn't going to, I might not have made it, to so far. You know what I'm saying? So I had to, that was my thing. Now, sports may not be your thing, maybe books are your thing. And I would like you to have books more than I would like you to have sports, because sports is going to go away.
Yeah.
Then what you going to have?
Yeah, that education, yeah.
Education is huge.
Knowledge.
It's important.
Knowledge.
That's right.
So one last thing. I know you're a busy guy. I know you got to go. Again, thank you for being here. I know it was a tight schedule for you to be here today. But you being I know you're so humble and from your beginnings and everything. If there's one person or a group out there that you would like to shout out today before you leave, just to acknowledge them, who would it be?
My staff. I mean, the staff they're the ones who does the hard work on a day-to-day basis. I know I'm in front of the camera now, but I represent them.
Yeah.
And so I would like to shout out to the Housing Authority City of Richmond staff. That's everybody who plays a part in what we do, because without them, we wouldn't be able to provide the housing that we do provide, And so my staff are the ones who make it happen. And then not only the staff, but the Board of Commissioners, because they allow us to do these things, well, they allow me to do these things. And so I appreciate the staff and the Board of Commissioners for sure.
And there it is. It's such a wonderful story. Thanks for sharing your experiences and what's going on in your world, Keon. Thanks for being here. That is another episode of Diamond Podcast. Thank you for joining. See you next time. I'm your host, Alfredo Diamond, local realtor, entrepreneur, community advocate. Take care. Thank you for joining in.